for coming. You look beautiful. Our ulterior motive, because there's always an ulterior motive, is to create a space in which we, as females and individuals who identify as female and who make a living in the cultural world, can begin to create unique support systems. Connections as simple as a story exchanged, a memory jogged, a hello over food and drink. As the Greeks, which is to say Greek man, used to do it while discoursing on philosophical questions from the nature of reality and ethics to love. We believe that serious discussion and celebration belong together, that debate, collectivity, and activism are produced by minds and bodies alike.
I'm former President Myles. And so, as one of my final gestures, as to all of you under Myles, as I passed the torch to somebody new, I was asked by the campaign for the feminist candidate this year. There's a website where a bunch of artists were asked to make art for Hillary Clinton, and so they asked me to write a poem, and I wrote one. So I'm going to read it for you as my toast. And it's called Momentum 2016 for Hillary Clinton. And I guess it's a tiny background just so I can talk longer. So I wrote this poem except for the last line, and so then I went and took my dog for a walk, and I went for breakfast in Marfa, and I wound up at this place called Marfa Burrito, and there was this sort of amazing, dazzling little girl like dancing around, and I was like, "What's her name?" And that's like the last line of the poem. It was kind of amazing how you like almost complete a piece of art, and then you walk out into the world, and it does the trick for you. So I'm hoping that's what's going to happen this week. Okay. Momentum 2016 for Hillary Clinton. How perfect the American sky out there, innocent perhaps of our goings-on. Let everyone turn around once one day. Let them pull the lever, write your name. Awesome the keenness of your focus, Hill. Regarding debating, regarding knowing, you inspire me to stay still, to act. You probably had breakfast this morning. Oregon was one of your stops. Understanding the Northwest is part of your job. Remembering every day a woman chooses to keep running. Oh, fuck. It's on a... I don't like reading off a phone. Remembering every day a woman chooses to keep running. Every day you learn more, meet more people. You daily become our president. May every inch of this journey and every moment of your female campaign unabashedly nail it like the girl I met at breakfast at Marfa Burrito. Her name, Victory. And really, totally true. It was like a family name. You know, like in my family, my brother's name is Terrence, and my dad's name is Terrence, and it's like the male name. But apparently in their family, it was this, you know, like her mother and her grandmother. There were just generations of female Victories, which I thought was so cool. You know. All right, next.
To do a toast now. I'm so sorry. Shall I just start? Or okay. This toast is dedicated to the abolition of presidents. Lately, I've been trying to deal with what time inscribes on my body and character, and not just time, but the events inside it. Here, in the time given to me, I use time as a word for what contains events, and for what events contain. What have I been dealing with? Recap. I've been trying to understand how to grow up and how to stay down. I write to the women at 2 a.m. from my insomniac bed. The difference between a child and an adult is a child doesn't know how to take good care of herself, and an adult does. The image of this good care is like that of a blanket wrapped around. Steer myself through public life with the secret of my interior concealed in the lining of the lines. Take good care in a bad year, the monumental disorder becoming less monumental and more disorderly. You take good care of yourself in order to be able to take care of others, if you want and if they want. This is what I think that men don't know. 2 hours later, or never, or still now, in the no time of sleeplessness, I write again. Growing up can't be only about taking care of yourself. That's ableist and kind of fucked up. The women write back to me that care is a process. Care is a promise. In this trying to dealing as distribution of self, dealing as concentration of self, here in the self given to me, I use self as a word for what appears to others. I keep saying this thing, this empty line in the mode of that's just how it is, or it is what it is, evoking this imminent it. I find myself saying very often lately, it just keeps going, to describe myself, to describe the weird entanglements of love and loss of love, to describe capitalism, to describe struggle, to describe to younger people what it's like to be older than they are now, and to older people what it's like to be younger, to describe the necessities and the impasses of self-maintenance and the problems of collectivity. It just keeps going. The money keeps rolling out from the thinness of living and away from the silk thickness of the inner lining. The rich keep building up the boundary, and the poor keep measuring the tremor in the blood. It just keeps going. They keep offering a poisoned incorporation, and I keep, oh my God, this is the most nervous I've ever been reading. Wow. It just keeps going. They keep offering a poisoned incorporation, and I keep overestimating it, and so on and on. It just keeps going. Each hurt or love prepares the next. Please know this. And you carry child and adult with zero contradiction inside you. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. Thank you.
Hi, thanks everyone for coming. Obviously, I just want to get this out of the way. Right, Kate? I am worried that I'm probably going to bring the emo quotient up in the toast. An evening like this is kind of a dream for me because I wish that supporting other females was a thing when I was growing up, but it was not always the case. And I always wish that I was a part of a larger female network. You know, the network, the social network, is the sort of monolithic sort of motif that sort of impacts most of our existence. And it's really pretty powerful. And I wish and hope that we can self-organize in order to do that for a beneficial potential for all and each and every one of us. I'm pretty sure I've kind of maybe internet stalked like 75% of the people in this room, and I'm in great admiration for a lot of you, and I know probably after tonight, all of you for sure. So I think that I wanted to talk about a little bit about this notion of the mafia that we kind of introduced in the introduction, but what is patriarchy but a mafia? What is a boys' club but a mafia? And it's a pretty strong model for a social network, and I think that it's really powerful. A few years ago, I started a series of podcasts around the viability of female networks, and I wanted to understand, and I wanted to talk about why this wasn't more prevalent, why this wasn't something that was more effective when it could only serve and benefit each and every one of us in this room. And one of the themes of this evening is really simply how can we better support each other. And that sounds like a kind of like a weird, specious thing to ask outside of this dome, but inside of this dome, it seems really palpable and tangible. I just know that anybody that I meet here tonight, a smile or a wink outside of this space is going to mean so much more than if I were to meet you in a different type of context, whether it's peddling somebody's book or someone's podcast or or someone's art exhibition or whatever. I mean, not to diminish any of those things, but I think that there is a certain kind of society that is compelling that we can weave together. So I just want to say that this is a real dream come true for me, and thank you everybody for being here, and thank you Jenny and Pati and Negar and Mina and all of the staff at PS1, and we don't know what's going to happen after Tuesday. That's probably heightening a little bit of the tension in the room tonight, but that's really not the end or the beginning. It's just we have a lot to work with, and anyway, thanks for being here. Good night.
Thank you. I'm Justin Vivian Bond. Thank you. And, well, I was trying to think of what to say, and, well, it's, obviously there's an election on Tuesday, and it's also Transgender Awareness and Remembrance Month. And I was thinking about, you know, the patriarchy and all of the sort of challenges that are sort of seemingly coming to a head right now. And my mother and my sister, and how my mother was raised with these patriarchal tropes and how she sees the world, and how my sister and I have kind of worked so hard to get past them to communicate with each other in an honest level. And that's an ongoing struggle. And so I thought I would sing this song that it's a short song that I wrote about it. Luster and shine as you make your belly crawl, struggling through their game. Luster and shine as you make your snaky way to fly or go down in flames. And the stars are shining brighter, and your skin is getting tighter. Break it on through, break it on down, breaking all the news that's in your head. Little sister's waiting for you, hands are raw from praying for you. Let them live their dead. There's music in your head. Luster and shine as you make your belly crawl, oblivious to their gaze. Listen to the call as you leave them in the thrall of their dying ways. And the stars are shining brighter, and your skin is getting tighter as your bones and feelings grow. Cheers!
I've been told that some people have questions about how to eat a crawfish. So we're gonna do a little demo. Grab a crawfish by the tail. I don't know how I'm gonna do this with one hand, but I'm gonna try. There we go. Grab a crawfish by the tail. Very very gently. Hold it in the center where it meets the body. Gently twist until it pops out. Use your mouth to suck the body out of the shell. That's it.
I'd like to give a toast tonight to Catherine Sneed. Now, you probably, not very many of you, know her because she has spent most of her life in the San Francisco County Jail teaching inmates gardening. And she called me one day about 25 years ago, and she said to me, would I be willing to buy the vegetables from the garden to help support the project? And I said, well, if you grow them to my specification. And she said, we will. And I said, I'll buy them. And then she said, well, you need to come out to the jail and meet my students. And I said, no, Catherine, why don't you just send the vegetables? Do I have to come to the jail? And she said, I can't sell you the vegetables unless you come to the jail. And I was nervous and kind of ashamed at my unwillingness, but I went. And she had a 7-acre garden at the county jail, and she brought all of her gardener's students around in a room like this, but a small table of it. There were probably 20. They were mostly young men. And she said, tell Alice why you're here and what you've learned. And one young guy stood up and he said, I shouldn't be saying anything because this is my first day in the garden. But it's the best day of my life. And I said, oh, this can be a transformational experience. And she said, Catherine told us that the food that was grown in the garden was then given to the homeless centers in San Francisco. And in the growing and the offering of food, these young people were changed. So much so that when it was time to get out of jail, they didn't want to go. So she had to set up a halfway house garden outside the jail where they grew vegetables. They always sat down at tables for lunch, and there were always bouquets of flowers on the table. And then, ultimately, they took their vegetables to the farmers market in San Francisco and sold them. And then they were hired as part of the Tree Corps project in San Francisco by the city of San Francisco. And they planted trees, and they never went back to jail. Now, I said to myself, if you can do it in a jail, you can do it in a school. And this is the project that inspired the Edible Schoolyard project in Berkeley that started 20 years ago. And I just want to say that the best teacher, a woman, the best teacher is Mother Nature. Thank you all.
My name is Kim. I am also extremely nervous and very excited to be here with all of you this evening. I guess my toast is more of a thank you than a toast, but just an acknowledgement of so many of you in this room who have had such integral roles in making my life one that is possible. I appreciate so many of the people in this room who have taken the time to take up space, to send invitations, to make phone calls. I was actually on my way in here, and I got a call from Simone Lee, who was like, I have the flu, but I'm so excited for you. So the people who make those calls, the people who think those thoughts are really necessary and paramount to what a feminist revolution can look like within the arts. I think feminism. And I also think so much for all of us in this room, if there's anything that we really take away from this evening beyond trying to understand what exactly we are doing here, is to really think about who isn't here yet. How can we create spaces that are cozy and comfy and can hold dialogue about change and hold dialogue about accountability and access? And what do those things mean beyond being buzzwords and really wonderful sentences on grant applications? What way can we action on those things? What ways can we action on bringing more people into these spaces? And I guess the last thing that I want to say is to think about how we can better listen to each other and also to ourselves, to remain also accountable to our own bodies, because wellness is paramount to anything that we try to pull off together. Our presence is necessary, and that ability to maintain a longevity or any kind of hopefulness is really listening to our bodies and ourselves. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the rest of the feast.